Hey guys, so I am Kevin. I am the co host and editor for Holy Costa. This is my first attempt to make a video with actual video clips from the Clone Wars series, and I have somewhat failed in that I can't get it past the copyright censors on YouTube, despite edits and about 8 different uploads. So you're going to see my face in the corner of the screen to take up part of the screen so that I think we can get it through. So I want to sort of shut up here, let the video play, and I'm going to watch it with you guys, and you get my face reaction to what I think about what we're saying. I'm going to start playing the video on my end now, and you guys will get it on your end.
Hello and welcome to this week's Whole Week Costa. For Kev, I'm Jay.
All right, guys, so this is update number 2. It's about 2 weeks after I posted or recorded that first little part of the video. I can't figure it out. I guess I have to look into this more before I try to make another video. I keep getting copyright striked. We're like 3 weeks behind on videos now from the podcast, so I'm not sure yet what you're going to see after this. I'll play the podcast. We'll have something in the background, and we'll have something different
Today
next
we're
week.
going to be talking about a one-part episode, and then the first part of a two-part episode, where the second part was in season 1. The first one is Senate Murders, and the second episode is Cat and Mouse. Kev, you want to start us off with the description for Senate Murders?
Senate murders. When Senator Anaconda Farr dies under suspicious circumstances, Padme sets out to find the person responsible for the death of her favorite uncle. Uncle in little parentheses. So if you're not confused enough by that intro, we'll talk about the weird two-part episode later. But this episode, I don't know. I didn't love it, which, I do love most of these episodes. I was just watching them this morning, and JD texted me actually, and was like, I don't know what we're gonna talk about with these episodes, but the second one I really did like. So hang on for that. And this one I think we have some good points about this one too. But
The first episode, the first thing I want to talk about this episode is that On the Kind of Far is a Rhodian. And I think these guys have to be the, like, other than like the humanoid, these guys have to be the second most populous, or even first most populous alien in the entire Star Wars galaxy, because they haven't been in like every show, every movie, every comic book, because they're so recognizable with their double set of ears and their suction cup fingers and everything. Like, I've seen them in every IP Star Wars has put out. It was the diverse aliens fighting the homogeneous species. So it was more diverse in the 70s than it is in like the 2000s and like the 2010s. The bad guy, it switches the bad guy. So it's sort of like Halo, how like the Spartans are the good guys and like this mix of aliens are the bad guys. So it's really like I guess a social commentary on diversity.
yeah, the original trilogy, I guess, is a little more black and white in a sense that they, they basically base the empire after the bad guys in World War II. Basically, that's, I think, been pretty stated all along. And I feel like in the original trilogy, if you think about it, the less humanoid races, I don't know, are almost more like comic reliefy. Like I feel like I think of like the Cantina band, just sort of like the background people that you see
Yeah,
versus.
the peanut band, the Porgs, the Ewoks, But my point was, like, the Rhodians, their Rhodians are Jedi, they're senators, they're diplomats. Like, they're the second most populous. Like, they're bounty hunters. So I think they play like a big part in the Star Wars universe that never really gets talked about.
One of the things I love about the Clone Wars as a whole is that you get to see you actually get to see all these a pretty diverse cast of characters as far as different species of Jedi, essentially. Like I feel like the first time we really saw that, because in the original trilogy, obviously it's like Yoda and Luke, and Yoda's like a pretty humanoid, or his species is pretty humanoid, even though they're smaller, but and they have longer lifespans, we know now. But other than that, I mean, they're fairly humanoid. We don't really see any very alien-looking species. But then in the prequel trilogy movies, we have these scenes where they're like, again, sort of in the background. Like I'm thinking about like the fight on Geonosis in the prequel movies, where there's suddenly all these different types of Jedi, but even then they're like fairly humanoid. In this we see a more diverse cast of Jedi, and we see them as actual characters, and we've seen some of their actual storylines instead of just the background characters that they've been up to this point. So that is one of the things that's really cool about the Clone Wars episodes.
Hey, to get off topic again, because this could be a filler podcast episode, so please keep listening because we'll get to the second one. You know what I realized? Have you finished The Mandalorian yet?
I have not.
Anyway, I'm just gonna spoil it. Not super spoilers, but they did like a girl team up, and I didn't realize it until like I heard someone else talk about it. They did a girl team up where like the 4 main ladies of like The Mandalorian like basically took over like 15 minutes of an episode, but they didn't like jam it down your face like Endgame did.
Yeah, I was thinking Endgame, where all the girls happen to be on the same part of the battlefield, even though they're not really all related. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like they weren't there. It's like they did it, and then you're like, wait, they did do like they just like seamlessly put in this like girl power thing. It's just like the episode, the show The Boys on Amazon, where like it's a whole parody of like the girls get it done. Like they keep doing this girls get it done, and at the end of like the season 2, like the main girls in the show like beat the shit out of the bad guy, and like they make that joke like girls get it done. I just thought that's like funny, but like The Mandalorian did it really well. They weren't like all the girls are gonna do attack. It just was very like, here it is, here's our characters, and like you understand and know all the characters. Like they don't force any of them down your throat.
Yeah. So all right, well, I'll look forward to that. In The Mandalorian.
Sorry about that. We can go back to the episode now.
Yeah, for this episode, so just a really brief synopsis of it, just to inform what we're going to talk about next. Basically, Padme is trying to push for a peace deal. It's she's sort of seen as weak and soft, and then Anaconda Farr, who is her main ally and I think sort of raised her a little bit, if I'm not mistaken, is murdered, and then we have the most annoying character that's ever been in Star Wars, is the Inspector. And then so he's a dope. So then Padme investigates herself along with Senator Organa, who I was excited to see him, obviously, because he's a good character. And then they find the killer, and surprise, it's one of their other friends, who's also a Rhodian. But
I figured out because the Rhodian lady made drinks and handed them out, and she poisoned the drinks that only reacts to Rhodian blood, but she never took a sip of her drink, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, they had some good red herrings, like when the Kaminoan senator comes in and like looks at the bottle, so it's like, oh, did she poison him? I thought when the Rhodian senator though came back in and was like, oh, the Kaminoan senator beat me up, like that was like I feel like that kind of gave it like, okay, well no, it's definitely her, but at least it was only like a couple minutes of episode time before we found out that was confirmed basically. The things that were interesting. So when the Kaminoan comes in and is like, oh, is this a peace deal or is this a separatist conspiracy? But that's another thing like we see in the real world. When people are, when people have differing opinions politically, they try to demonize them like that. And again, I was trying to think back to like the time period that this was going on. I think I mentioned this like last week or the week before, maybe. This was probably in the time when there was more discussion about the U.S. and the Middle East and stuff, and that's always the discussion. Like, oh, well, if you don't support war, then it must mean you don't love the country, and that's sort of what they went for in this episode, which is interesting.
But I mean, we both like were kind of this episode's okay. Like it's a filler episode, but they put it in like a really bad place because a couple episodes ago during the Mandalorian plotline, it's like the same episode as on the ship. They're like, all right, someone's trying to kill her, you know, and then like we got to figure out who the killer is, you know.
Yeah,
So
it was the same thing, and it was the same thing talking about peace deals and stuff. The other notes I had in here, because I mean, again, I don't think there's too much else to talk about with this, but I feel like people bash the animation in Clone Wars a lot. I was actually talking to a guy over the weekend who like has not watched the Clone Wars, even though he's a big Star Wars fan, because he just keeps hearing about how bad the animation is, which I don't think that's true. He's like a big anime guy, so I guess compared to some of the better animes, it's obviously the animation isn't the best. But when they were having the conversation about Anaconda dying and then them potentially investigating, I kind of noticed that Padme's like pupil size was reacting appropriately. Like when she talked about him, it got a little bigger, and then when she was mad, it got a little bit smaller. So I was like, oh, that's a pretty good attention to detail. But then I paid attention to it more. I think that was just random chance, because it seems like their pupil size just randomly fluctuates throughout the episode.
The animation, I like some of the animation on some of these episodes, and sometimes I don't. This is one where the animation, I felt like this is the B team. Like they're like, all right, we need to make a couple filler episodes. So B team go over there, and then like the really good arcs, like the whole Mandalore plot arcs or the General Grievous arcs, like the animation on those were great, and this episode wasn't.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then I thought it was funny when that shipping container almost fell on Padme and then Senator Organa, and when Organa jumps up, he like knocks on the shipping container. So I feel like it was one of those like the cartoon thing where there's like this whole broken fence or whatever, but then they stand at the gate because they can't get in. Like just go around the shipping container. And then the one other thing was I don't know if you noticed the Chancellor's face when the Rhodian senator turns and they discover it, and kind of has this like interesting face, like he has like a little half smirk on because it's all this chaos. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, but the one thing about this whole war is with the senators and everything. The one thing, it's like we know Palpatine has a master plan. He's like at the top of this pyramid of this plan, right? But like, it's just like politicians today. They're very unpredictable. So like we see episodes where like, they talk to one politician, but they change their mind at the last second. So it's the one thing about, this whole war is like, you don't know where these hundreds of senators are going to vote or go to or anything. So he can control like probably like a lot of them, but like, he's like some of this shit, like he's just got to watch play out like as the senator.
Yeah, so I kind of feel like he was a little surprised by this, honestly, but just by his face, but not upset by it though.
He's like, this is working better than I thought.
Anyway, season 2, episode 16, Cat and Mouse. Obi-Wan and Anakin must deliver supplies to Christophsis while the planet is under Separatist control. They encounter Separatist commander Admiral Trench and get more than they bargained for. This was a really good episode, although
This is the episode. This episode takes place. This is the first episode in a 2-part that took place back in season 1.
Yeah, it's a really weird timeline thing. This actually happens before the Clone Wars movie, I think.
Yeah, this is season 1. This is followed by season 1's 16th episode, The Hidden Enemy, where we meet, and then the episode after that, we meet Ahsoka. So,
yeah, right.
Yeah, but first thing I want to say about this episode is Admiral Trench is an awesome character.
He really is. When he, because I mean we've seen a lot of General Grievous, who isn't the best commander, like we talked about. So it was great in this to see him where he has a strategy. He fights off the initial attempt to run the blockade, and then when the strategy droid is like, well, should we go after them? He's like, no, we were ordered to blockade. Like we weren't ordered to chase. So as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, this guy is good. He knows what he's doing. and that was confirmed later on by Admiral Yularen.
Oh yeah, it's the first time I've ever seen like Admiral Yularen, like scared of someone. You know, like he showed like real emotion. Like they actually gave depth to the narrator.
Yeah, it was awesome. Perfect episode for this week too. We're a couple weeks behind releasing these, so this will be a little bit less relevant then. But I think the news sort of more publicly came out in the last couple of weeks that actor Tom Kane, who plays Admiral Yularen, had a stroke, and might not be able to do voice acting again, unfortunately. So, which obviously he's an awesome narrator, which is a shame. Apparently, he's like doing well and like he's totally with it and fine, but he the stroke affected the speech center of his brain, which sucks because that's what he does, But I think this actually happened a few months ago. But again, I just started seeing stories about it like in the last maybe 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, when I read that article, I finally saw what he looked like, and I thought he would look more like Admiral Yularen, and I don't know why I was surprised that he didn't.
Yeah, he looks like a pretty cool guy though. Just from seeing pictures of him and
Oh, yeah.
I guess what they said about him, but yeah, and then back to Admiral Trench though. Just his strategy was great, and then I love the idea, to bomb the surface, and then like the little laugh they had when they released the hyena bombers. That was kind of creepy. I think those are legitimately creepy, especially when you see them sort of to scale, like how big they are. Because you just picture droids as like standard battle droid size, and then when you see these droid ships, I think next to anything else, it always kind of freaks me out a little bit because they're so big.
I feel bad for those hyenas because, like, have you ever watched? I can't think of it right now. Battlestar Galactica.
I have not. I guess I should at some point because I know it's a big thing, but I never watched it.
Well, so these are droids, and those are droids too. But the ships that do all the bombing and stuff like that, they have like a consciousness. And there's actually an episode called Scar. I think it's called Scar. And the ship, like every time they blow up, the consciousness goes into another ship. So then, like once that blows up, it goes into another ship, and that flies out. And once that blows up, it goes back in. So like it's sort of like they don't lose their memory. So like they focus this episode on a ship, on like a consciousness, and like you kind of start thinking these like robotic droid ships that are blowing up people, you like kind of feel bad for them because like they keep getting these scars and these memories from their last battles because the ships have consciousness. And like
that's interesting.
Sad. They get blown up or like they lose a wing, and now they're flying through space endlessly, with like a consciousness.
But they're also, that also means they're effectively immortal then if they can transfer their consciousness to another ship.
Yeah, but it's still like kind of sad. They have to deal with all that battle wound. It's like getting shot and killed and then remembering it.
Yeah. But if you were the issue with that is it's scary because you die, but they don't die. They're again effectively immortal. So getting blown up probably isn't scary, if they're just gonna get transferred to another ship.
Yeah, sorry I keep going off. It just reminds me of the sci-fi, rest of the sci-fi world.
Wow. So I guess Anakin's the big thing to talk about here too. So that sort of rookie clone trooper, at one point when they decide they're going to attack Trench's ship, is basically, I thought this was like a supply mission, and the more experienced clone said, when you serve under General Skywalker, you're always on the offensive. My thing my initial thought was like, why not coordinate the attack with Kenobi, have him engage and sort of sneak up behind the enemy? But then, in the end, when you see the final plan where he, strafes them and has their own torpedo destroy them, it's like, okay, well, that made a lot of sense. Like, if they were engaged with Kenobi, they wouldn't lower their shields for that to happen. But was that his plan all along? It doesn't seem like it, right?
No, what was it? Kenobi's plan all along, or
no? Was it Anakin's? Like how he destroyed the ship? did he have that idea when he first uncloaked and fired on the ship? Because I don't think he did.
No, he didn't. I think there's a line in there, like basically him saying, like, yeah, we're just like gonna take it as it comes, or something like that. Because Anakin never really has a plan. Like he thinks he's the best, so he does it. And if Kenobi really wanted to just drop off supplies, I don't think he should have gave it to Anakin, because he knows that Anakin's a hothead and like never really has a plan.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, maybe he just wanted the absolute best pilot there in case things went wrong. You figured Anakin could get out of it without the ship being lost. But yeah, I mean, there's always that X factor whenever he's involved in a plan, that he's not going to follow the plan in any way.
Which kind of sucks. Like, for him.
Yeah, I mean, it works out usually, but I don't know. And the thing is, I mean, it probably didn't always, right? Because like we see back in season 1 when Ahsoka has command for the first time, and she she tries to act Anakin like, and then gets her whole squad lost. Like I'm sure it doesn't always work out for Anakin either.
Yeah, well, it is tough to watch Anakin like do these things, and then like, but we know what's going to happen. Typically, all the time, Anakin always succeeds anyway. It's rare like we see him lose.
Yeah, I don't know. And I mean, it was a pretty awesome resolution. Trench's like realization face when it's like, oh, when they can't get the shields back up was a pretty good moment. And then again, like this is another plan like only Anakin could really pull off, because I mean he literally had to scrape his ship on their ship. Like I think I'm assuming most pilots couldn't do that.
Yeah, and then the crazy part about this, Trench is a great character. But the crazy part about this is like we don't ever see a stealth ship again in the entire series.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I haven't seen one since, and we know when this takes place, so like it should have been brought up by now.
Yeah. Yeah, you would think, I don't know, maybe because you would think too, especially with Trench being destroyed, that his knowledge of how he defeated how he's defeated cloaked ships probably would be kind of lost. I mean, obviously it's not totally lost, because Obi-Wan Kenobi was able to look through the records and figure out that he was able to defeat cloaked ships, and then Yularen and Anakin put it together. We're like, oh, this is probably how he did it. So I mean, it's not like the knowledge is totally lost, but it's not like you have someone right in the forefront that knows how to defeat cloaked ships. So you would think it would take the Separatists a little while to figure out how to destroy them again.
Yeah, but then I mean, I like this episode. I was a little miffed that they played it out of order, and I don't really know why. What, like, if it was sitting on the shelf, like they should have just played it all together.
Yeah, this is another one. I mean, there just wasn't much to it. Like, it doesn't. It was a cool episode. I feel like I feel like Admiral Yularen's a really cool character. So any episode that has a lot of him in it's usually pretty good, just for him. But it didn't tell us a ton about the characters. It didn't really advance any overarching themes. I don't think, I don't know. It wasn't, it was a little bit of a filler episode too, honestly.
So, I don't have really much to say about these 2 episodes. Not much happened. There's no resolution because we already saw the resolution on 1. So.
Yeah, that's it for me. I honestly want to wrap up and just see what the recording sounds like, because we had a little recording issue in the beginning. So that's what I was nervous about.
Yeah. So, next week we're going to talk about Bounty Hunters, which is another one-off episode, and the Zillow Beast, which is the first part of a 2-part episode. So catch us next week. And for Kev, I'm Jay. Check us out at YouTube, where Kev makes the videos. He just started a TikTok. Kev, what's the TikTok name?
I don't know, honestly. I'll probably post it in the video comments. Although it's just like my own. I didn't make one for the channel yet, but I literally made it 2 days ago.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you made one for me.
I was debating. I might. I don't know.
So check us out. YouTube, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcast, and you can just search for Whole Wheat Costa. Thanks for listening.